Goeiemorgen mense, good morning, Mr. Simons here, class test 3 for 30 marks, solutions, right? I've uploaded the test, now we're looking at the solutions of it. Right, so there was the test, right, and we're going to be solving all of these items. I've already explained how they put together. Look at problem 1.1, to simplify, they've given me 1 divided by x plus y, negative 2. Straight away, how do I make a negative exponent positive? I take it to the top. So that becomes x plus y squared divided by 1, which stays at. Right, 1 mark for that, making it positive. And now 3 marks for correcting multiplying out. So x times x, x squared. For the middle term, x times y times 2 gives me 2xy. N term, y times y, which is y squared. Please don't forget the middle term when we square a binomial. 3 marks. 1.2, as I've said in the previous 2 tests, we will always give you multiplication and division of exponents. So they've given me 3 to the power n, 1 minus n, divided by 6 to the negative 1, 3 negative n, negative 1, divided by 3, 1 minus n, n plus 1, divided by 2 to the negative 1, 9 to the negative n minus 1. So first, n times 1 gives me n times negative n gives me negative n squared. The bottom 6 can be expressed as 2 times 3 to the negative 1. Remember, I must write it as a prime base, and that simply stays 3 negative n negative 1. Division must be changed to multiplication, and we flip the fraction around. So 2 to the negative 1 go to the top. The 9 on top becomes 3 to the power 2 minus n minus 1. 3, 1 minus n, n plus 1 comes to the bottom. And there again, I assume you can see difference of 2 squares, minus n, positive n. So 1 times 1 gives me 1, minus n times n gives me negative n squared. Right, 3 marks for multiplying correctly and at the same time setting the correct prime bases, and they're also identifying difference of 2 squares. So now I have n minus n squared, right, times 2 to the negative 1. There 2 times negative n gives me negative 2n. 2 times negative 1, negative 2. The bottom, remember there's the invisible 1 on 2. So 1 times negative 1, 2 to the negative 1. 1 times negative 1, 3 to the negative 1, times 3 negative n negative 1, times 3 1 minus n squared. Right, now multiply it out, 1 mark for that, correctly doing it. Now I'm going to work on my bases. So if I start with base 2, I have minus 1, minus minus 1, which gives me minus 1 plus 1. So sign simply changes at the bottom. Then I have base 3 on top, n minus n squared, minus 2n, minus 2. The bottom minus 1 becomes plus 1, minus n plus n, minus 1 plus 1, plus 1 becomes minus 1, and negative n squared becomes plus n squared. Minus 1 plus 1 gives me 0, so that's 2 to the power 0. Yeah, n plus n gives me 2n. Minus 2n gives me 0. Minus n squared plus n squared cancels. Right, 1 minus 1 is 0, so I'm left with minus 2 plus 1, which becomes minus 1. Not allowed to have a negative exponent as a final answer, so I'm going to take that to the bottom. Assuming now anything to the power 0 simply becomes 1, so final answer 1 over 3. So there are 2 marks for applying law 1 and law 2. 1 mark for correctly simplifying and 1 mark for the final answer. 8 marks in total. So don't let the 8 marks scare you. Just do what you know how to do and you will get marks along the way. If you make an error, look at why you made the error and go re-practice till you do not make that error no more. Right? Do it over 5 times correctly. Right? Let's look at the next set of problems. So simplify 1.3. As I said, we will always have addition and subtraction of exponents as well. So they gave me 4 to the power n minus 2 to the power n plus 2 plus 4. At the bottom I have 2 to the power n minus 2. So 4 as a prime base, I assume now is 2 to the power 2. There, if I split, I have 2 to the power 2 and 2 to the power n. Right, so there it becomes 2 to the power 2 and 2 to the power n plus 4. Bottom 2 to the power n minus 2. 2 times n gives me 2n. 2 to the power 2 is 4 times 2 to the power n plus 4, and that bottom stays the same. So if I factorize now, take note, that's 2n and that's n. So I assume you know n plus n would give me 2n. So therefore 2 to the power n times 2 to the power n gives me 2 to the power 2n. Negative 2 times negative 2 will give me plus 4, but minus 2, 2 to the power n, and minus 2, 2 to the power n would give me minus 4, 2 to the power n. That is the same, so therefore those two cancel, and I'm left with 2 to the power n minus 2. So 1 mark there for writing as a prime base, right? Another mark for correctly simplifying the top and writing it in standard form. Another mark for correct factors, and then last mark for correct answer, right? So look at the next set of problems. So 1.4, now we're solving for x, meaning we have to have x to the power 1 as a final answer. So given to me, base 3 to the exponent 3x minus 1 over 2 equal 1 over 27. So to solve the unknown exponent, my bases must both read base 3. So 27 must be written as 3 to the power 3. If I take that up, becomes 3 negative 3. Bases are the same, so I drop them. So 3x minus 1 over 2 now equal negative 3. Right, if I cross multiply, first get rid of the denominator. 2 times negative 3 equal negative 6. So whenever there's an equation, we can always just multiply the denominator away with everything that's written. So 2 times negative 3 gives me negative 6. Now I'm left with 3x minus 1. If I take negative 1 across, it becomes plus 1. So minus 6 plus 1 would give me negative 5. We always divide by the coefficient in front of x, meaning whatever is written in front of x, we have to divide by that value so that we have x to the power 1. So there, negative 5 divided by 3, right? And that's my final answer. So 1 mark for expressing as exponent or prime base. Another mark for taking that up and writing it as negative 3. Dropping my bases, and simplifying 1 mark. Then last mark for the final answer. So hope you follow. Let's look at the next problem. So this one, they've given me 6x 2 over 3 plus 7x 1 over 3 y half minus 3 to the power y. In the bottom, they've given me two terms, 3x a third minus y half. So you should see third and a half is there in the middle. But what is 1 over 3 plus 1 over 3? That gives me 2 over 3. What's half plus half? Gives me that invisible 1. So technically this is guiding you to tell you how you're going to factorize that on the top. So for 6, 3 times 2 would give me 6. 2 over 3 simply becomes x a third times x a third. So whatever the exponent is here, it must be in the middle there. X to the third, x to the third. I take minus 3y, 3 is a prime number, so can only be plus 3 times negative 1. And again, you see the middle is y half, so therefore y to the power half times y to the power half. Half plus half gives me the 1. To verify the middle term, minus 1 times 2 gives me negative 2. 3 times 3 gives me 9. 9 minus 2 would give me 7x a third, y half. Bottom stays the same, 3x a third minus y a half. So you should see that and that is the same. So this bracket cancels with that bracket, and I'm left simply with 2x a third plus 3y half. Right, so 1 mark there for correctly working with the values. Another mark for having x a third and x a third. Third mark for having y half and y half. 1 mark for the final answer, right? Look at the next problem. Right, so as I said, if you're enjoying the test and you're understanding and you want to stay up to date with all the work. I try to upload every Monday and Friday, sometimes over the weekend, depending on my schedule. Right? Please make sure you subscribe. So here in 1.6, they say simplify. Give me two terms in brackets, another 2. And basically, we are testing whether you can multiply. So there, 5 times 2 square root 5. Positive times negative, give me negative. 5 times 1 over square root 5. Then positive times positive, stay positive. 1 over square root 5 times 2 square root 5. Then positive times negative become negative. 1 over square root 5 times 1 over square root 5. 5 times 2 would give me 10 square root 5. Then negative stays. 5 times 1 gives me 5, so that becomes 5 over square root 5. There 2 times 1 gives me 2 square root 5 over square root 5, and there 1 times 1 is 1, and square root 5 times square root 5 gives me 5. So that stays 10 square root 5 minus 5 over square root 5. Square root 5 and square root 5 cancel, so I'm left with 2 minus 1 over 5. So 10 square root 5, there's no other term like it, so therefore it stays 10 square root 5 minus 5 square root 5. 2 minus 1 over 5, or 10 over 5 minus 1 over 5 simply gives me 9 over 5. So 1 mark for correct multiplication and 2 marks for my final answer. 1.7, now we're testing law 1 and basically law 4 or 5. I'm not 100% sure in my head of surds. But yeah, so first square root and square root, they're being multiplied, and I have a cube root outside. So once I have the same sign, I can place according to law 1, place them underneath each other. So that would be 3 times 9, which gives me square root 27. Alright? But 27 is a perfect cube, so I change the cube root and the square root around according to law 4. So square root goes outside and cube root comes inside, so I have cube root of 27. And the cube root of 27 is 3, so my final answer there is square root 3. So 1 mark there for applying law 1. Another mark for swapping square root and cube root. Last mark for the correct answer. So I hope you enjoy the test. I hope you take note of where you've made errors. Take a different pen, highlight it, rewrite the problem, redo it over. If you can do it 5 times correctly, it would be in your head over and over. That's the structure basically of a class test on exponents and surds. Wish you nothing but the best. Bye.